Hello friends, in this video for the chapter DC circuits, we will be talking about another device which is potentiometer, and then in the second half of this video we will discuss about a special configuration of the circuits which is Wheatstone bridge. So let us start with potentiometer. So in the previous videos you might have seen we discussed about ammeter, voltmeter and a galvanometer, and we discussed how we can use those devices to measure either a current or a voltage in a circuit. Potentiometer is also a special kind of device which we can use to find out the voltage or the potential difference across any 2 points in a circuit. The advantage of a potentiometer over a voltmeter is that a voltmeter, being a practical device and a real device, has some resistance associated with it which is not infinite, and due to this property of voltmeter, it tends to alter the existing voltages which are present in the circuit. While in potentiometer, it can measure by a totally different principle the exact voltage without altering it which is present in a circuit. The potentiometer is a device, so let's say I have a battery and a resistor, and this is my circuit. So AB is my potentiometer device, and the property of a potentiometer is that it has 3 terminals. So one is this, one is A, one is B, and the third is C. So if A is at plus and B is at minus, then the point at which I am moving the pointer C, it defines the resistance which is there between B and C. So let us say if the total length of the potentiometer is L, then the net resistance, which is resistance of AB, is RAB. Then the resistance per unit length can be defined in a potentiometer, because there is a linear function of resistance which is present in a potentiometer wire, and it can be defined as RAB upon L. And this is a resistance per unit length which is a characteristic of a potentiometer device, and it allows us to use the pointer to get a definite resistance between B and C. So I can define that, okay, the resistance of point BC, if this is X, then it is X into lambda. So let us say we have another circuit and we want to measure a potential difference in that circuit. So let's say I have another circuit, this thing, and it has a potential difference V, and I have connected it to this point. And I am also connecting a galvanometer, because galvanometer does not do anything but it only detects the presence of a small currents in the circuit or in the branch. So V is the potential difference to be measured. So what I will do next is that I will try to move the pointer C starting from B, and I will move the pointer C towards towards A. So like I will start with here and then I will start to move here. Okay. So as I am moving the circuit, which is BCDE, in the circuit BCDE, the resistance which is present in BC will keep on changing, because as I am increasing it, I am effectively increasing the resistance of this part. And there is a current associated with the original circuit, which is A, B, F, G, and this current I is dependent on this E, this R, and the resistance of the total potential wire, or the total potentiometer device, So because I am moving the pointer from to my left, at some point at one particular position, it will happen that the deflection in the galvanometer will be 0. The point at which the deflection of the galvanometer comes out to be 0, that length is known as balancing length. And we say that we have reached the balancing point. So the property of the balancing length or the balancing point is that the position of the pointer in the potentiometer device such that the deflection of the galvanometer is 0, which indicates that the current in the circuit BEDC is 0, and the only current flowing is the current which is in GABF. So how can we find out this potential difference V then? So since we know that now V, the potential difference to be measured is exactly the potential difference across VBC, and it can be found out by RCB into VAB upon RAB. And how do we arrive at this? Because we know that the potential difference across BC will be into the current flowing through the branch BC into resistance of RCB. So that's how we find out this thing. So effectively, we get this formula that V equal to VBC. So V equal to RCB is X into lambda. VAB, which is this, is nothing but total potential difference, which we will be knowing because we know the E and R, and RAB, which is nothing but L into lambda. Lambda will cancel out. So this gives us V equal to X into VAB by L. So X is the balancing length. So you see that we have done nothing but we have only connected a potentiometer device and a circuit associated with it with a circuit through which we want to measure the potential difference. And then we start moving the pointer from one end of the potentiometer to the other end, and at one point in between we will find out that the deflection in the galvanometer comes out to be 0. That point is referred as balancing point, and the length of the potentiometer associated with that point is known as balancing length. And because we know the balancing length X, we can find out the potential difference, the unknown potential difference, through this formula. The potentiometer device can also be used in different configurations for measurement of unknown EMF of a cell or unknown internal resistance of a cell. So let us take one example or one configuration in which we will be using the potentiometer device for such a purpose. So I have the same configuration. And in this one, this is again A and B, and it's a potentiometer wire. I am using a battery with a galvanometer like this, and let's say the balancing length, which is this, comes out to be L1, and so the question says that E and R are both unknown. So we do not know. So let's say, okay, so both the parameters of the battery cannot be unknown to us. So we know the EMF of the cell, but we do not know the internal resistance of the cell. And because let's say we purchased any battery or a cell from a market, and we only know that, okay, the voltage rating of the battery is 5 volts or 9 volts or 1.5 volts, but we do not know the internal resistance of the cell. So to find out the internal resistance, we are using a potentiometer circuit, and we are just applying in the same configuration which we earlier discussed, and now the balancing length comes out to be L1, we know that at this balancing length, the deflection of the galvanometer will be 0. It means that there is no current which is flowing through R. So the net potential difference which we are measuring right now is E. So E is L1, which is this, and the total length of AB is L, and VAB, which is this. So this is our first equation. So as you see that VAB is known to us because we know the battery which we are applying here and the resistance. We know the total length of the potentiometer, and now we know the balancing length. So we can also find out E, or the EMF of the cell. So now it says that okay, we can take any unknown cell about which we do not know anything, and we can find out its EMF. But still we have not found its internal resistance. So what do I need to do? So what is happening at the balancing length? The deflection in the galvanometer is 0. So even if the battery wants to give some potential difference, it is not able to because it is counteracted by the potential difference across AC. Due to this, there is no current which is flowing in this branch. So we need to give another circuit or another opportunity for the current to flow, so that a current is flowing through this R as well and through another resistor or another element as well. So let us modify the circuit. So this is the new circuit in which now we have introduced this branch. So we have introduced another R which is known to us in parallel with the EMF of the cell and in the internal resistance. So now even if this galvanometer which is there is showing a deflection of 0, the current can flow in this portion. So it allows us to find out the potential difference which is there, which is due to this circuit. So because there is a current I dash flowing in it, the potential difference across AC dash, because now the balancing length has changed because of the difference in potential difference. So now the balancing length is L2. So now VAC dash is again doing the same thing, L2 by L into VAB. VAB remains same because we are not playing with the original or the battery of the overhead circuit and the resistance of the overhead circuit. So what we have is that VAC dash is equal to L2 into VAB by L, but now VAC dash is E minus IR. E minus IR. And this I, because I is only flowing I dash, and because this I dash is only flowing in this circuit, in case like in the situation in which the deflection of the galvanometer is 0, this I can be found out by R plus R. So using this thing, using our first equation into this, we can find out the internal resistance as L1 minus L2 upon L2 into R. So overall, what have we done? We know that okay, a potentiometer is a device in which the resistance can be linearly changed by moving the pointer, and using the same principle of potentiometer, we are trying to find out an unknown potential difference when it is attached to the pointer and its one terminal. There is a galvanometer present in that circuit, so that we will know when we reach a balancing point, when the deflection galvanometer comes out to be 0. At that point, there is no current flowing in the branch C, D, E, B, only a potential difference is present, and we know that okay, the potential difference unknown to us will be equal to potential difference across CB, and we are able to equate them and find out the unknown potential difference in terms of the potential difference which we have provided across potentiometer and the balancing length. And a specific application of this principle, we have used it in finding out the parameters like the EMF and the internal resistance of a cell or a battery, and for it we need to have two different circuits and we need to apply like balancing length principle in both of them to find out what is the value of EMF and what is the value of the internal resistance. So what we did was we did the exact same thing, but instead of this black box, now we are applying our cell. Again, the deflection comes out to be 0 at galvanometer at a certain L1, which is the balancing length. That means there is no current which is flowing through R, so the net potential difference across AC is E. And now we are able to apply the same formula which we discussed for a simpler case. In the second circuit, we need the current to flow through small r, so that we need to take into account in the potential difference across AC dash. So we applied a known resistance in parallel with E and small r, so that even if the deflection of the galvanometer is 0, there is a current flowing in the small circuit which we have introduced. Using this principle, now the potential difference across AC dash is not E but E minus I dash R, and I dash can be found out because it's already only present in the smaller circuit. And using the second equation and the first equation, we can find out the small r in terms of the balancing length and the R which we have introduced. So overall, potentiometer is a very useful device, and most probably in your physics lab experiments and in future as well, you will be again and again using this device more than what will use like ammeter or voltmeter devices. Now let us go ahead and discuss a new topic. This is not a device but is a special configuration of resistors in a circuit which show some very interesting properties, and these properties can be used to use this configuration in form of a device or in form of a property which is again and again used in many applications. So let's say So this configuration is known as the Wheatstone bridge. Bridge because there are 4 resistances in it, and there is a fifth resistance and a galvanometer which is present in the diagonal branch of PQ. So we have chosen the resistances in such a way that the galvanometer has a deflection of 0. So what does it mean? It means that there is no current in branch PQ. And what does it mean is that because there is no cell or EMF which is present in the branch PQ, there is no potential difference induced by the current being 0. So the potential difference between PQ is 0. It says that the potential of P is equal to potential of Q. It is very important property, and now let us recall couple of things which we earlier discussed about let us come into that after we find out the special property of Wheatstone bridge. So we know that now the potential of P and Q is same and A is a single point, so we can find out that VPA, which is the potential difference between P and A, and similarly it should be equal to potential difference VQA, and same with VPB equal to VQB. So let us try to find out these. So let's say I have I1 plus I2 coming in this thing. So I1 comes here, I2 comes here, and because the current in this one is 0, so I1 is going, and same I1 is coming from here, and because in this it is 0, I2 is coming from here, and again using the junction law we can say that I1 plus I2 is coming back. So let us find out VPA. So VPA going from P to A, we are going in the direction opposite to the current, so it means that it's I1 R1. VQA is going from Q to A, it is I2 R3, this is equation 1. VPB going from P to B, it's minus I1 R2, and similarly VQB going from Q to B in the direction of the current, it's minus I2 R4, it is equation 2. Now just divide equation 1 by equation 2 and you would find out that R1 by R2 equal to R3 by R4. And it can be rewritten as R1 into R4 equal to R2 into R3. So this gives us the condition on R1, R2, R3 and R4 such that the deflection in the galvanometer in the diagonal section is 0. It means that we can choose R1, R2, R3, 4 which are satisfying this condition so that there is no current in the branch which is connecting the diagonal. An interesting thing to note down that the R1, R2, R3, R4 can be numbered or named in a different fashion. So you need to keep attention to this thing, that you should not hurry while just reading out the resistor values and proceeding with the question. An easier way which generally I make myself remind is that it's the multiplication of the diagonals, like R1 into R4 is equal to R2 into R3. And similarly, one thing can be the division of the same side resistor. So R1 by R3 equal to R2 by R4. So I would recommend that you should remember this thing either by this method or this method, because both are true. Otherwise, it does not affect that how you are numbering it, because I could have numbered it R1, R2, R3, R4. Then the result and everything would remain same. So nothing would change. An interesting thing which we can apply in a Wheatstone bridge is that if you remember in previous videos we discussed the principles of broken circuit and a short circuit. So in short circuit we said that a short circuit is done by a zero resistance wire, and a zero resistance wire has a property that the current through it may or may not be zero, but the potential difference across any 2 points of the wire is 0, so that each and every point on the wire is at same potential. So these are 2 or 3 critical properties for the short circuit. Similarly, for the broken circuit, we specified that the current is definitely 0 because it's broken, and the second thing is that the potential difference may or may not be 0. So, and the resistance is infinity. So, and one thing which we added is that if you have a short circuit and you have found out that okay, the potential difference is same across each and every point, but there is current, so you cannot turn it into a broken circuit. And similarly with the broken circuit, that if you know that there is a potential difference while current being 0, you cannot turn into a short circuit. But here you can see that it's a special case. It's a special case because we have a branch and its current is 0. So it can be done as a broken circuit, because I know that in branch PQ there is no current which is flowing, so I can just remove it. I can just remove this branch and it would make no difference. Secondly, because the potential of this branch is same, so because P is same, P and Q are same potential, and there is no element in this branch which is introducing a potential difference between them, so it can also act as a short circuit. So what I can do is that I can just compress it as well using a short circuit principle. So it gives rise to a special property that short circuit or broken circuit can be made similar when if there is no potential difference in case of a broken circuit, and if there is no current in case of a short circuit. And we will be using these principles again and again in the following videos, in which we will use circuit solving techniques and we will apply them in many questions. But before that, let's wrap up this video by doing a simple question for Wheatstone bridge. So let me rub this. Okay. So we are given that so you can easily, so like it's not very easy to see, but the Wheatstone bridge is not necessary that it will be shown in this special configuration of a square, of a rhombus, that kind of thing. So this is also a Wheatstone bridge. If you like just twist it, and we'll see that PQ branch is the same PQ branch. There's a resistor between A and Q, There's a resistor between A and P, and similarly between BQ and BP. So this is the same exact Wheatstone bridge which we have discussed, and we know that the value of the resistors are given and they do satisfy either of these relations, which means that this is a Wheatstone bridge, and now there is no current which is flowing through the branch PQ. So how can I solve it? So like recently I discussed with you that okay, I can either remove PQ or I can join PQ. So let us do the question by both the methods. So the first intuition to do such kind of problem is to find out the R equivalent across AB. So what I'll be doing is that I know that okay, there's an E which is there, and my first intention is to find out the equivalent resistance so that I can compress. I'm just compressing and simplifying the Wheatstone bridge which is present between the points A and B. So let us do it by both the methods. First I'll just remove PQ because I know that there is no current which is flowing through PQ. Then you can see that between A and B, the two resistors are in series. So A, B, there are two resistors which are in series. Similarly, between A and B, again two resistors are in series which are in parallel. So R, and then the rest of the circuit. So we can easily find out okay, that 2R and 2R, this gives us R equivalent. This gives us that the R equivalent is R. Now let's do it by the second method. Like okay, I know that there is no potential difference between PQ, so I am just joining it. So because I am joining it, what I have done is that I'll just shrink the zero resistance wire and I can just join them at one point. So it means that this becomes like this. So now you can see that A, let me do this. So now we have A, we have PQ, and we have B. So between A and PQ we have two resistors. Both are of R. Between PQ and B we have two resistors which are R each, which are in parallel, and the rest of the circuit after that. So R and R parallel is R by 2. This is also R by 2 because two are in parallel and these two are in series. So this gives us the net equivalent resistance of R. So you can see that we removed or we joined both the points PQ and we are still getting the same resistance R because it does not matter as soon as it is satisfying both the conditions. So if there is a branch in which the current is 0, then our first intuition is to break it, and similarly if the if there is a branch in which the potential difference is 0, it acts as a zero resistance wire. But if a branch which is satisfying both the conditions, then it's up to us and we can do whatever we want. We are free to do, because as long as it's satisfying both the conditions, it does not make any difference whether we are joining it by a zero resistance wire or if we are just breaking it and reducing the infinite resistance between them. And this is one of the properties which we will be using again and again in many questions, which I think in following videos we will be showing. And so it will be good to know such properties, and I'll try to reiterate and focus on these in the questions which we do next. Thank you.